everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Natalie O'Shea and I'm here for the final instalment of this series of the Business Basics videos. And today I'm going to be sharing with you all about shows, fairs, exhibitions, whatever you want to kind of call them, pamper nights. We're going to be covering the sort of lot. Now this is only a basics introduction and I could talk about this all day. I have done many a craft fair, village fete and all sorts of things, so I'm here to sort of share my experiences with you and my top tips for you. So let's start with the ones that most people will do to start with. If you want to grow your business, and especially if you're an in-person business, you want to grow your in-person business, whether that's classes, whether it's even a card and a coffee that you're looking to set up or already doing, you need to advertise yourself. And one of the ways to market and advertise yourself is to get out there and do a fair, a fete, all sorts of things. So I say they come in all various guises. So this could be a school summer fete or Christmas fete. It could be a ladies' pamper night. It could be a church fair, which could be a fundraiser, or it could be they do a Christmas fair. It could be all sorts of things. There are people that do get together and basically almost kind of get together all the direct sales people and have an evening like a shopping night at a school. And so I'm talking about all those sort of events to start with, because that's likely to be where you start. So what are they? What do you do? What's the point? How much are they? Etc, etc. Now I'm in the southeast of England, so prices I quote may be woo high. So good for you if you don't live down here. But something like this normally means that you will have a 6 foot by 2 foot table, so a normal sort of fold up table, and it can be anything from sort of £10 a table to about 25 quid is probably the most I've paid, or it might be that you have to give a prize for a raffle that's going on during the day or the evening, so it could just be the cost of giving one of those, or you might have to do that as well. So where do you find these kind of things? Well, you all live somewhere where there'll be lots of schools around you. Schools are great at these things. They all have Christmas fairs, they often have summer fairs, and they're the first place to start. You know, draw yourself a radius of however far you're willing to travel and phone every school. They're often run by the PTA, so you may, well, I don't think it is a PTA anymore, I'm showing my age there. It's normally friends of, but in my language it was the PTA, the Parents and Teachers Association, that are responsible for sort of getting some extra funds in for some other bits and bobs for the schools. So you may be forwarded on to somebody else. But ring every school, look on the school website, not necessarily on there always, but sometimes they are. If they have a blog or something like that, you may see that they have updated it with that. But bottom line, phone them up. They're going to tell you whether they do one and give you the details of who you need to contact, or get people to contact you if with the information. So that's your first place to start. Churches in the local area, again, have a look. They've obviously got a sort of news on their websites and things like that, so you can find out from there. Facebook, a great way. There are loads and loads of groups that, I mean, there's like for sale and selling in areas, so it might be West Sussex for me, for example, or it could just be events in West Sussex. If you start looking on Facebook for these groups are there because there's lots of direct sales people who want to get together and get out there and share their wares with the world. So you can look on there as well. And just generally keep your eyes out on, look for your what's on page. So Google what's on in Crawley, or what's on in your town or area, what's on in the area 10 miles away. And you can do that on Facebook, you can do that on Google, you can do that often on sort of council websites. They have or libraries, they often have a what's on section. So there's enough ways for you to be able to find. And I'm pretty much sure that you could end up with a list of about 50 different events that are on throughout the year. So they're not hard to find. And you know what? If there isn't one, why not set one up yourself? Why not find your local 10 direct sales people in other companies that obviously don't do the same as you, and get together and make your own one up. Approach a church, approach a school to see if you could organise a shopping evening for them. You know, there's nothing stopping you, or don't let the fact that you may not find one locally stop you. Set up your own one. So that's the sort of things we'll say. There can be various things. Ladies' pamper nights are another one where it's good. You know, you get a lot of ladies within an area that are there to kind of have some time on their hands, drinking Prosecco normally, and you can share what you do with them there. So that's the sort of things you're finding, and as I say, that they're all about a 6-foot table for anything between sort of £10 and £25. If you are asked for a raffle prize and you sit there and think, oh my goodness, what could I give as a raffle prize? There's a couple of things you can do. The first one I would recommend you do is the raffle prize can be a free class for the winner and 5 of their friends. So that is a workshop. You would need to decide whether you would do a couple of cards. I would keep them simple, keep the cost down, just paper and ink, and if you're feeling frivolous, a bit of ribbon. But literally just do that, and you would treat it exactly as you would do. You'd have your hostess, you'd explain to her what goes on. No pressure, you kind of get off the everyone's got to purchase. You kind of hope that by turning up at this person's house and with 5 of their friends, you have a great evening. It's a great social evening. So that's the first thing. They have fun. And then actually, if they buy anything, then great, fantastic. You might have made 5 new or 6 new crafters out of them. And I have done that before. I have gone round to someone's house she was the only crafter, and she had 8 friends around, none of them who crafted at all, and they all placed an order. And in fact, it was during celebration, so they all ordered £45 or more, which was a little bit crazy, but it happens. So don't think that just because nobody's a crafter, that's an issue either. But also, above anything else, what you're doing is you're sharing the word. When you go and do this workshop class, free class for this raffle winner, then even if they're not interested per se, they may know somebody at work, their next door neighbour, their mum, their grandma, who may be interested. So again, you're just getting the word out. It's all about marketing your business and getting the word out so people know who you are and what you do. You know, you are the local card lady or card man, because I know we have some men here, that people, you know, you want people to know what you do. So what do you do at these events? Well, this is entirely up to you. I would say personally, you want to focus on one thing. When I first started doing craft fairs, I kind of put out catalogues and put some cards up and was trying to kind of get orders really, but that just doesn't really work because people need, you know, the whole know, like, trust factor to kind of know who you are, trust that they can give you their money, and be interested in what you do. So when I found that, for example, my one reason was that I wanted to grow my classes. So my classes had dipped a little bit, so I wanted to start getting out there and getting new people to come to my monthly classes. So on a stand that I had at a ladies' pamper night, I literally just had boards up and information all about my classes. I had class samples up so I could show, you know, this was a class that we did and this was a class that we did. I had a class sign up form. I had leaflets with the details. It was an A5 piece of paper that I had all the details of my classes. Now I run my classes the second Monday of every month, so I didn't need to list dates. It was just second Monday of every month. Bit of information about how much and where. And then at the bottom of that sort of A5 flyer, I had a free class pass. So it was just a free class pass for anybody who hadn't stamped with me before, that they could come along to their first class for free. And I was giving them out. And I got new customers coming to my classes for that. I didn't focus on selling things. I didn't focus on trying to get orders. I didn't focus on trying to get new recruits. Everything was on my classes. So that would be my recommendation to you. Now, depending on what sort of event you're going to and what you want to do, you need to decide what you want to do. If you want to make things and sell them, because that's what you love doing and you want to get some money back on some of the supplies that you've bought, then knock yourself out and do that, but just find more of the sort of shopping evenings more than anything, or the Christmas fetes and all things are good for that as well. Me, I haven't got the time or the patience to put into doing that. So it's never been something I want to do. But if that's what you want to do, then focus on that. Make a whole variety of things. Your whole table is covered with things to buy. Make it obvious that people can buy things. And then you can slip into the conversation, this is what I do, and you can give out catalogues and things like that. What I would also suggest as well is that every single time that you do something, you have a raffle. What are you there for? You are there to tell people about you, but also you know as well as I do that people don't phone you. People say they're going to phone you and they don't really. Well, not very often. You might be lucky. But generally when people go, oh yes, I'll have a look and I'll give you a call, they don't. You need to have their information. So on the Stampin' Up website, you have one of these forms. It's called a prize draw form. It's in the printing place and there's 4 to a page. And what it has on there, it asks for people's details and it asks them if they want to hear from you and go on a newsletter and things like that. Now with the impending, depending on when you're listening to this, but the impending GDPR, European rules, to add someone to your mailing list, you must get their permission. And that slip is a permission from them to say that you can contact them. Because once you've met them at a show, it could be, and it could take 6 months of having a newsletter from you every week, every month, however often you do them, but having a bit of regular contact with you before someone goes, oh, okay, I know this person well enough now, I trust them, that they're not going to walk off with my money, and now off I'll go and talk to them like I said I would 6 months ago. So yeah, these forms are really, really important. And when you sit there and think, well, what can I raffle? Well, you could raffle the same as what I suggested earlier, a class for everybody, or for somebody with some friends. You could then have everybody who entered the raffle being winners. You know, unless you particularly say there's only one winner, who's to say that not everybody you speak to, if you speak to 10 people that night, perhaps all 10 of them will win a free class. That's up to you, depends on how you word it as well, so be careful. But you could also, celebration stamp sets, if you've got an overflow of celebration stamp sets, you could raffle those. If you want to make the raffle a little bit bigger, there's nothing to say that you can't have one raffle for everything that you do each month. So for example, if you've got 4 events on in November, let's say, as long as you're clear again that the raffle will be drawn on the 30th of November and you'll be contacted if you win, there's nothing to say you can't have the same sort of basket of goodies at several events. So don't feel that you have to have this £100 basket of goodies at every event you do. It's not at all. And it doesn't even have to be that as well, so don't think you have to offer product as well. You could sit there and make something, so a nice box with some cards in, or perhaps 20 of my favourite cards, all for every occasion possible. So again, just do a variety of cards that you might have made as samples already, or swaps you might have done that you mount onto card. So entirely up to you what you want to do as your raffle prize. So what else do we need to talk about those sort of events? Now you may see, if I slightly twist that, oh, get your fingers out of the way, Natalie. What I've actually done is, ta-da! is added some of the boards that I use at both big exhibition events or big craft fairs and local events as well. So what you've got here, and what I'll just do is grab one. There we go. So this is super light. It's white foam board from Hobbycraft. I want to say you get 4 sheets for £10 or something like that. It might be £3 each and 4 for a tenner, but super light and great. Do them in white, they do them in black, whatever works for you. But this is what I use. So I download the logo off of the Stampin' Up demo site and then just make up these boards, and I've kind of put a couple up there as well so you can see. So this one is just covered with summer swaps, but also summer classes. So again, if I'm talking to somebody about classes, then I could say that these 4 cards here were a class, these cards across here were a class, so I can give examples. These cards there were a class. So they look pretty, they're nice, but they also are working, as in, I'm showing, I've got examples of what kind of things we do in classes, because again, people want to know what they're going to be making. What does a class consist of, for example? So that's a board just covered in samples and the logo. Then you've got this board here, which again, logo at the top, just printed out on A4 paper and stuck on. So some more samples, but what I've also done here is I've ripped out, I tried to print it out of the PDF online, wasn't very good, so I ripped up a catalogue, spring summer catalogue, so it's not too bad. I literally ripped the pages out of the catalogue and stuck them up there, because these 3 cards here are using this product suite here, so it just gave an example of some of the other things there. And again, this was a class and this was a class, so various things there, and that's the catalogue page there as well. And so, for example, but you can also have information as well, so don't feel that you have to cover boards completely in cards. So, because you only got a 6 foot by 2 foot table, so you can get a lot more information on one of these standing up right in front of the table than you can. So again, a couple more cards, but look, catalogue, celebration as it was. I do a 10% off of orders taken on the day, because people can't walk away with our products. Well, as soon as you start telling them about P&P, they kind of go, but as soon as you sit there and go, we're giving 10% off orders, but that sort of counteracts your P&P charge. They seem to kind of go with that. It works. So I give 10% off of orders, show special today. Join for just £99, and again another just sheet out of the catalogue, so you've got the catalogue front page, and that's it. So you know, do you have a copy of the catalogue? Free products when you order, because it was celebration. But yeah, but these boards are great. You put that back up, you know it's going to fall down now, don't you? But I've also done a board, and it's half fallen apart now, but one of the biggest things that we never kind of seemed to advertise was the fact that the biggest thing about Stampin' Up! Is that our products coordinate. So I did one of these boards and I stuck, especially now we're going for a colour revamp, I stuck an old ink pad on there, a marker pen, a bit of pattern paper and a bit of cardstock all in a row, so it all looked, and just said, look, everything coordinates. Because people do kind of, especially in big affairs where they're walking around and everyone's got loads of stock available and we don't, they do kind of go, what are you doing here? But I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so these boards are great. As I say, you can stand them in the front of your table. You can get display boards as well, professional display boards that you can stand on tables, or you could just sit there and tape 3 of those together and kind of almost have it like it, I've just shown it there. As well, so don't think that you have to spend £100 on display boards either, but you might want to be able to see over them, so you might want them perhaps 2 that way. Or you might just want to stand in front, and that would be one of my tips as well, is don't stand behind a table. You want to be out there in the crowds talking to people. So yeah, so why would you do these shows? These shows really are about getting your name out, and if you go out there with no expectations of making your money back, no expectations of getting any orders, no expectations of having a new recruit there and then, but you do go out there with the expectation that you're going to get your name out there, you're going to give out some flyers, business cards, catalogues, whatever you choose, that have got your name in there that you're hoping people will look at and not just bin when they get home. But the most important thing for me is getting this form filled out and me having their contact details. If I've got the information that I need so that I can contact them again, then I can either phone them a week after I've seen them and said, oh, did you enjoy the catalogue? You showed an interest in coming to class, my next class is here, there, do you want to come? Can I put your name down? Did you get a free class pass? Etc. So these are the most important forms and the most important things about doing any sort of craft fair. So my tips with this are, make sure people have completed them. You want their email address. The biggest thing is you want their email address so that you can email them. You want their telephone number so you can telephone them. And if you haven't got those bits of information, you may as well throw it away. And this, I think it's the first box, I can't remember, we tweaked the forms a little bit, but one of the boxes on the form is, I would like an email. I'd like to receive an email from you. If you haven't got that box ticked, you cannot add them to your list, especially with the new GDPR rules. You must have somebody's authorization to add them to your mailing list. You can't just add them automatically just because you've spoken to them, or even just because they said, yeah, just add me, there you go. You have to have something ticked by them with their details that says, yes, you can email me. So as bad as it is, so someone's filling in, you've managed to talk to someone, you've said, oh, you know, would you like to enter my free prize draw? They've entered the prize draw, you take the form from them, they've normally folded it in half or a little bit more. Don't have a box on the table that they can drop it into, not on show, because they'll do that and you'll have lost them. Because these forms are great for a variety of reasons. So first of all, you want them to ask you, oh, where do I put this? And you say, I'll take that from you. And as cringy as it is to sit there and open it while they're still there, you have to. Because if they have not ticked that box to say that they can hear from you, you may as well throw it away. You absolutely may as well throw it away, and you've wasted your time. So you've got to get that box ticked on here. And make sure that you can read their email address and their telephone number. So yeah, so that's it. So that's my top tips with this. This is your gold for all these sort of events. And that applies to all events as well. So just going on to some of the bigger events. So those of you who are familiar, there's in the south, there's the Make It show, there's Alexandra Palace. I know there's shows at the NEC, and I know they're all over the place, Northern Ireland, everywhere. So these shows are a great thing to do. You know, they are targeted, so you've got definite crafters coming to these big craft shows, and you have thousands of people walking through the door. So to give you some ideas and some tips about that, these shows are expensive. You really need to be happy to invest several £100s in a stand, or to be part of a stand, before you even sit there and think, is this a good idea? So you've got to be prepared to spend that. So to give you an idea, again, these are sort of sudden events, although I don't think they really change that much. A 2 metre by 2 metre stand can be anything between about £400 and £500. So you could choose to do that on your own if you wanted to. I would suggest you get a helper, and then you get all the leads yourself. And that's it, and you may have that sort of investment that you want to do. I would say to you that what we tend to do, a 2 by 2 stand, 2 people, a 2 by 3 stand, 3 people, and it's even gone up as far as we have a 3 by 5 stand at Make It, and I make sure there's 5 people on that stand. And we have all contributed between £200 and £300 to be there on that stand. It's a 2 or 3 day event, depending on what we're talking about, but it is a lot of money. And don't forget, on top of that, you have to provide catalogues, and you need to decide whether you're going to sell those or give them away. I would recommend that you give away supplement ones, as in the spring summer catalogue or the autumn winter catalogue. I would suggest you give those away because they're low value. The main catalogue, I wouldn't suggest you give them away willy-nilly unless you've got the money to do so and the desire to do so. But you really do want to get catalogues in people's hands for them to have a look through and understand. People tend to kind of have a look at a catalogue before they throw it in the bin. So, you know, if it's in their hand, we've got them, hopefully. So yeah, so you've got that investment on top of that as well. I would always say in the catalogues that you do give out, never give out a naked catalogue. You kind of want a letter in there introducing yourself and the catalogue and stamping up. You want a class list in there if you do classes as well. If you're doing retreats or you listen to Monica's video and you want to do retreats, then put your retreat information in as well. You know, and obviously your details of how they can contact you, your online shop and all that should be within that anyway. And a free class pass, so an A5 flyer with your free class pass on as well. So yes, what else? On one of those stands you need to ask, well, in anything really, if you've got walls, you need to find out if they are Velcro happy. So can you stick, because these have just got like Velcro strips on the back and they just go, and that's it. So doing all these boards, I do about 5 or 6 of these boards for some of the big shows that I do. It takes some time beforehand, but what happens is I get to the show and we can set up in sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, because you just go, and then when you come to clearing down, you just go, and they're all down again. So it's really easy to do, and you've got time beforehand to think about what you want to go up on there. So yeah, so bigger shows are expensive, but you're getting quality crafters, but you can only speak to so many people a day. And I would say that you can speak to anything between about 30 and 50 people, and then each person will get about 30 to 50 leads per day, depending on how many people have come along. You know, but you really want anyone you talk to fill in a prize draw form. You will get some people that are funny and some people that think you have to pay, but we tend to kind of say to you, know, are you interested in entering our free prize draw to win this box of goodies? Doesn't cost you anything, because that's one of the things they say. And we promise not to hassle you unless you want us to. Or something like that. You know, you're allaying people's fears, getting rid of those fears before they've kind of even signed up. So yeah, that's what I would say for the big shows as well, really. You know, they're hard work, but we've done them. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs really, more than that, but just to kind of give you an idea of the pricing involved in these shows. And again, we do get orders at these shows, but again, we all go there really looking to grow our contact list. So and to try and find people that are interested in being recruits. And we've all pretty much signed up recruits either at the show or from the show. At these big shows before, not hundreds, but it's always a blessing to kind of get a recruit at a show, and an order. And we've had anything from sort of a few £100 worth of orders to a couple of £1,000 worth of orders between us all on these shows. So yes, you know, you're never going to get your money back. Never going to get your money back. Don't sit there and think you're going to get your money back unless you're obviously making items that you are selling. You can also get rid of your retired stock as well, so you could have a stand that sells your retired stock if you want to actually sell product to people. Trying to think if there is anything else really. We've already gone on for too long probably, so I am going to leave it there. If you've got any questions, as I say, I've done lots of shows, big and small, so if you've got any questions, then just ask them below this video. Either Amanda, Michelle or Monica will probably be able to answer them, or they'll forward them to me and I'll be able to answer them, or you can just PM me on Facebook or whatever, and I'm happy to kind of share my experiences with you. Shows have been a big part of me growing my mailing list and my Stampin' Up business as a whole. So I really recommend that you do them. You don't want to jump in first off and do something like the Make It show. But there's absolutely no reason why any of you can't do a lot of these Christmas fairs, Pamper Nights, etc, etc. So good luck. They are really good, but you have to manage them well, and managing them is getting a prize draw, getting these details, giving out free classes as raffle prizes and things like that, and advertising what you do is all good for doing, for getting yourself out there and growing your business. So good luck. Thanks for joining us on this series so far, and we look forward to seeing you soon. I'll see you later. Bye.